Hi, and welcome to Midweek Conversations. I'm Dennis.
And I'm Angelica.
Yay.
Yay, we're back.
Oh yeah, we're not sitting out by the lake today.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it is pretty hot out, but...
We were just saying that we're kind of bored with this. Oh, I can't believe my phone. As soon as we start, something happens.
Classic.
And it's a pastor friend from Minneapolis.
Ooh.
So I will mute this while we continue to
Wow.
talk.
Wow.
Well, he's cool. Pastor John's cool.
It's becoming a mainstay that your phone goes off.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I'm sorry. Sorry, people. You know, speaking of phones, look at you. So I have a boring phone.
I do not.
And
I have
Angelica
stickers
does
and
not.
such.
Mine's black. Hers is like
Purple.
army
It's
green.
Well, the case is army green, but then it's a lavender phone.
Oh, you can't even see that.
Yeah, you can. You can see it through the
And so oh, I see. Yeah. And so what does this mean?
This is snarly. It says gnarly.
Wait, you said this is snarly?
Yeah.
Gnarly or snarly?
Listen, he's just making fun of me because his phone went off like a little teenager. It's gnarly with the G.
But before my phone went off, we were talking about, we've kind of come to the conclusion that we like being elsewhere for this conversation.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel a little artificial when we're here.
This studio setting is not as fun as being out and about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took someone else to that property yesterday, and they're like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Really? Come on, man.
Like, this is a lot of work.
I mean,
and I'm like,
everything
oh
is.
yeah, work is work, whatever.
Work is work.
You just have the right tools, and so anyway, we'll see what happens with our little potential retreat area.
Oh my gosh. It'll be fun. I think it'll be cool if it actually gets done. If you have motivated people that are willing to kind of do the hard work, then it'll get done.
Yeah. And maybe next time I need to bring a sharp machete.
Yeah. The machete was like a butter knife. He handed it to me. He's like, here you go. You get to have the cool machete. And I was like, awesome. And it wouldn't even cut a blade of grass.
One swipe at something and it bounced back
Yeah, I
like
was
hit her in the head.
I was like, what is this? Can you even call this a machete?
Oh, stop.
It was rusty, falling apart. I'm just kidding.
It was pretty dull, I must admit. I did not run it across my fingers before I brought it. But in any case, who knows where we'll be next week?
Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe we'll do this from remote locations. And
that
let
would be
people
cool.
See, wherever we might be.
Yeah.
And then you can be in one cool place and I can be in some other boring place.
I mean, or vice versa.
Yeah, right.
That'd be cool.
So.
Let's do that instead. Nothing's wrong with this place. It's just less
Speaking
cool.
of being remote, you did the service remote this week. That was cool, and it's always great to have our podrishners with us. And
I'm a regular podrissioner.
You're a podrissioner this week, and I will be next week. Angelica is going to be speaking next week.
Oh my goodness! Not you telling everyone.
We're actually going on the record. Come and support Angelica.
Wow.
And all those online numbers I know are going to swell, and people are going to come here.
Whatever.
And no, she's going to do a great job. She was our chaplain for our mission trip in Belize.
Yeah.
And from the first moment she said her first sentence, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. So Angelica, as you can tell, is a very deep thinker. She likes to have fun. She likes to laugh.
I try.
And she's studied the book of Revelation, so she knows what she's talking about.
Kind of.
And I think this week we're going to be getting into Revelation chapter 2. Can you believe it? Revelation chapter 2.
We're on. We're moving forward. Chapter 2 out of how many chapters are there?
Oh, come on. 22, but who cares? What difference does it make?
It does make a difference.
But it was pretty funny. A lot of people were like, when someone gave me the calculation that it was going to take 247 years to get through the book of Revelation at the pace we were on for the first 2 weeks.
That was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh.
Okay.
People are funny.
So these next 2 chapters are these 7 little postcards, these 7 letters to the churches that John is writing to. And people kind of debate, so was this a real thing? Or since it's the number 7, is it the number of completeness? And these are addressed to all the churches. out there, for forever. There's a lot of interpretations, but I think Angelica and I understand that that these churches form a perfect circle, and it would have been the route that someone would have been running if they were bringing this letter to these successive churches. I mean, remember, one scroll, right? I mean, it's not like you can go into the copy room and, and print off a bunch of copies and say, here, bring this to all these different churches.
That's true.
So anyway, there were real churches, and Angelica is going to be talking about the first one.
Yeah,
So,
Ephesus.
yeah.
I like this part of Revelation too because I think there's a lot of like applicable information. Like a lot of times we can get like a really anxious feeling about this book, and like it feels like, what on earth does Revelation have for me today, right now?
Right.
Like, where am I in this story type thing? And I like this part because, it's almost like, it reads almost like Proverbs or something, where it's like going through, it's addressing the people, what they're doing, what they're not doing, or whatever. And it kind of gives you like, it reminds you like, people are similar throughout history, even though like I'm not the audience that this is specifically written to. I can see like these grand narratives in the story, or these these lessons that we can still have with us today. So yeah, that's what I kind of like. I like this. I like starting this part of Revelation. So I'm glad you didn't ask me and like chapter 17 or something. Where it starts
getting deep in the weeds.
Yeah, I'm like,
of apocalyptic language.
I'd be like, sorry, I gotta like water my car that day.
Yeah. So the rest of the summer we'll be going through these 7 letters. Some of them might take longer, and if you don't finish Ephesus, great. We'll just,
I mean,
we'll circle
Ephesus
back.
is kind of nice because they're basically good. They only get a little bit of like, but
a little bit of chiding.
A little bit of chiding.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
So do you think I was stretching it when I was? I brought up how that phrase is usually used, and that is that the God who was, is, and is to come. And when he's addressing John, he's saying, I am the God who is, and who was, and who is to come. And
we
have an unwelcome guest.
We've never had bugs in here at this time. It's because Scotty leaves the door open.
People leave the door open?
No, Scotty.
Oh, okay. But so, did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I thought it was funny. That it was kind of like, oh, you really get into the minutia. I was like, that is funny that was brought up. But who was and is to come versus, I think the God of the is, like the title, I think that was a good point, and that you brought it around through that little section there, because it was like the God of the is. Like, what is that? What do you mean?
Oh, good. The hook worked. Huh?
Yeah. And
Great.
I was like, oh, the right now, like we're in this time. And it's important. That is important to remember. Like, he's in our past, he's in our present. Yeah, really, God is outside of time. Like this concept that we have, he's outside of like our little boxes of understanding. But in that sense, so he would be right now too. Like he would be, this is. And I like drawing it back to the Old Testament too, with Moses and the burning bush, and like all of that was super cool. I mean, I totally just think of the DreamWorks adaptation of that story, because it's just like so good, but visually beautiful. But anyway, because the Old Testament is connected to the New Testament, it's all the grand meta narrative to Christ, and so I liked that. I was like, yeah, let's not forget that the Old Testament and the New Testament are like they're like the same body.
Right.
Like it's one like functioning thing. So like, you can get into Revelation, and sometimes it can just be really like totally disconnected from the rest of the Bible. Like it's so much information, and it feels so overwhelming that we just like detach it, and just only talk about that. And it's
Chunk
like,
it out and put it over here,
right,
and it's totally detached.
right, and it's not actually.
But hundreds of references to
Totally.
the Old Testament.
Totally.
Not references to the New Testament.
Right.
Because really, the New Testament wasn't a canon. It wasn't compiled in that sense yet. But yes, so many references to the Old.
Totally.
Right. Now that's not to say that if you don't know the Old Testament, you can't read it.
Right.
You can still read it, but nonetheless, you get a lot more out of it as you go. No. So if you're reading along with us in the Book of Revelation, one of the things that really helps is in different study Bibles, you will see little letters next to words and follow those into the notes, because what you can do is see where that phrase comes from in the Old Testament. And you go back and you read that in the Old Testament, and it really sometimes or often brings that whole idea to a brighter light for you. So that's a great way to study the Book of Revelation.
Totally, it makes it more vibrant.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh. Yeah. Basically, like, it isn't so daunting as, like, we want to make it. It's not that it isn't. I mean, I wonder how you guys are feeling about it, because I feel like going through Revelation like this has made it less of, like, this big, scary boogeyman book. Like,
Right.
this, like, nobody wants to touch that.
Right.
And this makes it accessible. We're like, no, we're just like going in it, like, see, it's not so different. It's not like you're just flicking the lights on, like, in the basement, and you're like, oh, it's just a basement. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not this scary cave thing. Yeah.
So I wasn't planning to go here, but I mean, this is a great opportunity, because we're kind of skipping this, and I really don't. I want to come back to this in the series. But he has this little bit of an arbitrary look. He's coming in the clouds. This is in verse 7 of chapter 1. Look, he's coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all peoples on earth will mourn because of him. So shall it be. Amen. And most people read that and they say, oh, they're going to mourn because Jesus is going to do something bad to them. He's coming to punish them. And really, maybe I should take a whole week on this, because if you look at the note here, it says will mourn, and in this particular study Bible, the NIV, I should say the Life Application Bible, it says to check out Zechariah 12:10. So you just go back and you find Zechariah 12:10, last book of the Old Testament, and it's actually the second to last book, because the last book is written by the Italian prophet Malachi.
I didn't know that.
Malachi.
Oh, I was like, what? Malachi? I was like,
I'm sorry, it's just an old joke.
I was like, who
I don't know
is
why
that?
I said. Okay, so 12:10 says this. I have to be in 12. I will pour out on the house of. So God is speaking. This is about Jerusalem. I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one who mourns an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves a firstborn son.
Oh.
And so it's not that he is bringing pain on them and they're mourning as a result of the pain, but the moment they see him, they have a realization of what they have done, and they're mourning because of what they personally have done. So look, he's coming with the clouds, every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all peoples on earth will mourn because of him. Because of his appearing, they now realize, oh,
like they're guilty.
we have totally ignored God. We have totally ignored the message of Jesus. this is reality, and what have we done?
Like,
You know?
oh shoot, he's back. Yeah, he actually came, and I thought this whole time he wasn't going to. And then like you have this overwhelming feeling of like, this whole time I've been living like he wasn't coming, when he is. Yeah,
Right.
it's crazy.
So that's the way a believer would look on it, right? If they're aware of the message. But then those who are simply, have this natural understanding of God will realize, oh my, this is real.
Totally.
So this is why it's fruitful to go and follow these notes, because it gives a whole different understanding of that word mourn.
Yeah.
Or suffer. We see it one way, but the biblical text illustrates it in a different way.
Yeah.
So, just a little Bible study tip.
Bible study tips with Dennis.
So, yeah.
That's fun. Wow. I would not have known.
This is a great passage of Scripture. Anything else going on? Yep, there is a group. Well, they would have had their first meeting because we're filming this on Monday, and there is a group called Thrive that's getting together tonight for the first time, and that's at 6 or 6:30?
I think 6:30.
6:30.
I think.
Well, we'll put it in the notes.
Yeah, and it will have already been done.
Yeah, but it'll be meeting again the coming week, because this is going to be an ongoing
It's in the newsletter.
connection group. Right, there you go. And on the app.
And on the app.
Well, let's check the app.
Okay.
But this is a group for families of those who are struggling with addiction, and we're all a part of that system. We just like we're reading just there. We mourn. We're affected. We're a part of the system that has led to that. So, in any case, if you find yourself in that zone with someone, maybe it's a loved one or a friend or whatever, we'd encourage you to check out Thrive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the main point. I think that's the last thing.
All right. Well, we're just verifying our information here, and that information says update me right now. Yeah, great. Well, is it not on here? In any case.
It's
check
on the
out-
newsletter.
Yeah, it's in the newsletter.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Okay, we're done.
we're done.
Yeah.
So we will see you next week, and come out on Sunday and check out the message brought to you by
The angel in flesh. I'm just kidding. Bye.
All right, you take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye.